Hello, Stars! My name is Blue, and today we are lost in Homestuck Epilogue, meet Chapter 8 to wherever we leave off. I almost said Hive Swap. That would have been a great way to start the episode. Anyway, let's get into it. John, zap to your final destination. Where the hell are you? Where the hell are we? I can't see shit. Shh. It's dark. Not like someone turned out the lights dark, more like someone destroyed the concept of light at its very source dark. It's a darkness that fills up your skull. Jake puts this more eloquently as always. By golly, it is indeed dark as fuck. Shush! Jade breaks off from the group. She moves through the air gracefully, ears twitching as she sniffs through space like a bloodhound. There! She exclaims. I hit my mic, I'm sorry. Exclaims and points down. All the way down. You know, I should probably start calling this Today we are lost in pronouncing things incorrectly. Look down. All the way down beneath you, there is a light source. Gray, focused, like a spotlight, except that it's folded over the curvature of the space beneath it. At the center of it stands teenage Lord English, all decked out in his ostentatious god-tier jammies. Gamzee's there too, for some unfathomably stupid reason. There's a robot bunny chilling out on top of a chest, looking cool and kicking its cute little bunny legs back and forth. You hope that neither of the unexpected dramates personae what? Will play a role in the coming battle, because it wouldn't feel right wailing on either of them at this point. I forgot to turn my phone on silent. Lord English is holding something that looks like little Cal. It's definitely little Cal. And Lord English is definitely waltzing around with it in his little spotlight in the middle of nowhere, swinging the puppet around by its floppy arms. Well, rather, he was waltzing around. He stopped the moment you look at him. Behold your adversary. And now scroll down. Who the fuck are you? You simply refused to answer his question and said you'd do something so much better, something that will make both his inevitable fate and your regard for his character incontrovertibly clear. Give him a thumbs down. Yes, John. Good job, John. It's a tech-spec thumbs down. Better, actually. The kind you can't really reach. Lord English drops the puppet. For a moment, he looks shocked, maybe even a little afraid. But it passes quickly. He starts laughing. Never mind, I know who you are. I was foretold by the masterpiece I made when I was but a boy. What? Be quiet. I don't know what voice to give Caliborn. Shit. I'll have you know that you just interrupted a groundbreaking interpretive art piece. It was the first of its kind, performed only once, and made more valuable for its rareness. Wow. I said shut up. It's rude to talk through the overture, but don't worry, although you missed my very important dance demonstration. Which was an unprecedented act of genius, and not at all embarrassing. Mood. Now you will participate in something even more important. The young lord's face begins to distort. The unhinging of his jaw reverberates into empty space. He laughs through the remainder of his inferior soliloquy, which he has possibly prepared in advance for this moment. By now, surely many have witnessed my masterpiece, as it has circulated through the black veins of the dark web. Trillions have witnessed its majesty, haters and fools alike, and they have been rendered agog by my art virtuosity, my claymanship, my wrestling moves. But now, the time has come for everyone to shut up about how great my masterpiece was. And the time is now at hand. His laugh turns into a low, crackled gurgle. It spikes towards you in waves, distorts and pitches low. He is beyond pleased with himself, with the line he is about to deliver. For all of you to become my masterpiece. Okay. That was a short chapter. Oh, okay. If you were one of the haters and fools that saw Lord English's masterpiece circulating through the black veins of the dark web and were rendered agog by its majesty, then you probably have a pretty good sense of what's happened next. You probably also wouldn't be rendered that much additionally agog if you were told it didn't happen precisely as conveyed by the Lord English expertly produced claymation theater. Would it be that surprising if the first 4 heroes weren't immediately captured in the juju as the dark web swan song broadcast through the bogus Vine videos originally decepted? Oh fuck. We were doing good. Depicted. Idiot. Probably not. Would it raise any eyebrows if the action turned out to be a bit sloppier than that? A bloody nose here, a stray wedgie there, some trips on a cape, loud eruptions of the word ow. Petulant insults, smack talk, crude gestures, and stray honks from the sidelines. Would it rock anyone's world to discover the stop-motion feature did not treat this battle royale with utmost fidelity? No one who witnessed the spectacle online would react to these discrepancies with much surprise. But you're not such a witness. You're still John Egbert, and you had no idea what sort of raccoonous teen pandemonium to expect when you zapped into the lair of your nemesis to throw down. Which is why you were completely blindsided when, upon feeling overwhelmed by the melee, Celeborn sprung his gambit on you and your 3 best friends to even the odds. He opened his little red chest and out came his white house-shaped juju levitating there, threatening to behave as the weapon many treasure hunters throughout history have described it to be. Upon a second look, it's not quite right though. It's colorless, null, a house-shaped hole in your confining reality. A hole that insists on being filled. You try to resist its overwhelming pull, but to no avail. The force is too strong. Not like the sucking of the vacuum of space, or the tug from a gravitational singularity. It was more overpowering than any force in nature. Almost metatextual. Textile. Not negating your powers. Your strength to resist. So much it seemed to overwrite them. I don't know if you can tell, but for some reason, I can't get into reading. The juju sucked you, Rose, Dave, and Jade into its void at the speed of eternity, squashed down to half a second. You landed in the abstract prison it contains face first alone, with a force that made you flip over a few times and skid flat along your chin. You grope for your glasses, instinctively finding them in 2 cracked halves. You cradle the remains as you look up. The blurry, distorted face of your laughing nemesis was the last thing you saw before the chest door slammed shut and plunged you into textural obsolence. You know this word! In here, you are now stuck. You will not emerge from this holding cell from an outside perspective for a quadrillion of years. It is not long at all until you begin to wish you had brought something to read. Are these chapters gonna be short? No, this one's kinda long. Huh, okay. Jane Crocker sweeps into her office with grace befitting her station and slams the door shut behind her. The sun cuts through her Ventinian blinds, painting butter yellow strips of light from all the way from one end of her impeccably tailored office to the other. God damn, brain, read. It's a lovely day, like most days, not so terribly remarkable except for the horrid news that she has just received at her customary morning press conference. Jane comes to a brisk stop along one of her floored-ceiling windows, which spans a full 2/3 of her office, and brushes her hands over her hips to smooth the wrinkles out of her powder blue pencil skirt. Then she hems, huffs, puffs out her cheeks, and takes a very deep breath before snatching a pillow off the nearest couch so that way she can scream into it. There are surely a multitude of ways for a person to find out that an acquaintance is running against you in a presidential election. From the Carapesian reporter in front of 26 other members of interspecies press was not the method Jane would have personally chosen. She is certain that she retained her poise and managed not to look too shocked at the news. She did not exclaim, "What?" but instead managed to eke through gritted teeth and pursed lips a reasonably thoughtful sounding, She cannot believe that Karkat would do this to her. This is no longer a political fayette, which the election would surely have been if she run uncontested by any other civilization founding celebrities, but rather a battle between friends. What did Vantas think he was doing? No, it's not Vantas, Jane realized. This could not have possibly been Karkat's idea. Jane knows Karkat. Not intimately or even casually, but well enough to have made a generalized assessment of his basic character over the years. He is not cut out for politics, neither intellectually nor in the very important matter of social constitution. Certainly not when it comes to economic policy. In fact, Jane is pretty sure that Karkat Vantas would probably literally burst into flames if too many people happened to look at him at the same time, like a vampire walking out into the sun. Wait, Jane lowers the pillow from her face and stares at her brass and glass Art Deco ceiling. Was that vampire thing xenophobic against Kanaya? Or whatever it was that Kanaya was supposed to be. No, of course not, she asserts herself. With trolls, it was the other way around. Vampires are the only member of their species who didn't balk at the sunlight. Another reason Karkat would make a president, unless he ran as the night president? No, the idea is foolish. Best not give him any ideas. There can only be one president. No, surely this must have been Dave's idea. Kind of plot hatched from their little nest of mutually supportive codependent interspecies whatever it was they had going on over there. Dave was certainly no Dirk Strider, no Rose Lalonde, no Roxy, but he had the same scheming gene buried deep down beneath his transparent onion layers of posturing and, frankly, rather outdated humor. An instinct to plan, and despite being arguably the dimmest of his family's impressive ectobiological stock. Oh dear, stock. That's likely a problematic word, isn't it? Jane thinks. She crosses it off her mental list of appropriate words to say during her press conference. She turns to her train of thought, despite being the least mentally gifted member of his family. Dave has always had an awful lot of opinions on the economy. In fact, Jane cannot remember a single conversation she's ever had with him that wasn't about the economy. She thinks back to one time at John's 18th birthday when Dave engaged her in a rigorous and rather one-sided debate about the deregulation and failure of neoliberal austerity measures, until Karkat had to come over and put his hands over his roommate's mouth to make him stop talking. Come to think of it, of the few direct interactions with Karkat she's ever had, this struck her as a truly great act of benevolence towards the common good. Maybe he would make a good president? No! She cannot succumb to the thoughts of weakness. She will not. Jane tosses the pillow back onto the couch and begins pacing the length of her office. This really was a disaster. She knew that she was solid on several democratic metrics, the human one, most certainly, and the well-to-do Carpathian districts, but Karkat was incredibly popular in the Troll Kingdom, obviously, and the Carpathians were widely known to be swayed by underdog populism. And the consorts? Who had even given them the right to vote in the first place? In another year... Jane hops up onto her desk and kicks off both her shoes. She picks up a pen and begins to chew the end to bits to stop herself from doing the same to her lower lip. In any other year, this wouldn't be a problem. She would be happy to accept a graceful temporary defeat and let Karkat play president for a couple of years. After all, unlike her, he was not immortal. But Earthsea's paper-thin, idiotic history was very close to a boiling point. Its very first boiling point, in fact. Which will have everything to do with the problematic nature of troll reproduction. The first generation of natural-born trolls obviously cannot be entrusted to a troll. Which was absolutely not a xenophobic thing to think. It's just realistic. The citizens of Earthsea were able to rest easy knowing the government held careful reign over the, well, matters of equity. No one could possibly trust someone to do so important to a troll, knowing what everyone knew about their violent history. I think you're being a little xenophobic, Jane. Just a little bit. Losing this election could mean social unrest, protest, even more. Jane presses her eyes shut and runs her fingers along the fine-grained patterns of her mahogany paneled desk. She's about to think of something that she has promised herself never to think again. In fact, she's about to say it. This horrible, ghoulish, girlish thought that used to rule her world and make her so terribly weak. The shameful thought is expressed out loud in the form of a defeated sigh. I need Jake. She spins around and, still sitting on her desk, presses a familiar entry on her phone. Contact list. Ahoy, ahoy! Jake, please no. Jane has to suck in a hard breath to stop herself from groaning. Why were there so many of the finest young minds on this planet, slaves to foolish man's... Okay. Why were so many of the finest young minds on this planet slaves to this foolish man's perky glutes? Jake, how are you doing? As well as I can be, I suppose, considering that I just woke up from the middle of a frickin' ruckus at the stadium after getting beat. And I can't read what Jake says, I'm sorry. It's like he's speaking another language. Beamed in the pumper with an old horse tranquilizer trick, which I suppose I should have seen coming, as Dirk has ended all of our matches in this fashion for the past week. Oh dear, that sounds absolutely terrible, Jake. Is there anything I can do to help? Help? Gadzooks, woman, I hardly think of myself in need of help. It's a jolly good adventure working with someone so unpredictably unpredictable as our good friend Dirk. You would think that Jake enjoyed the sadomachinist, that's as close as we're gonna get, nature of his and Jake's personal and professional relationships. Judging from the last conversation about the election strategy with Dirk, he seems to be perfectly aware of this feature of Jake's personality. You can't be too nice when courting his endorsement, Dirk would say. He doesn't respond too nice. Be that as it may, Jake, I still do worry about you an awful lot. Well, that is... On Jake's end of the line, there is a crash, followed by a noise that sounds suspiciously like something big and hollow and metal being connected to Jake's head. When Jake comes back to the phone, he's yelling into it. Jane grimaces. Very sweet of you, Jane. I appreciate it very much that you've called me out of the blue to say such nice things to me with no ulterior motive. For anyone else, this would have been a portentous reading is not a thing I can do today. Portentous statement. However, Jane knows that Jake English could not have possibly meant this without any with anything but the utmost sincerity. Well, you know that because I must note that although I try to stay sporting about what comes to me, I can't say that I'm chuffed about how much of my correspondence lately has to do with the marketing of my image. It's beginning to feel like all people want from me is to stick my derriere on the signpost for their own profit. Oh, Jake, you're right. It must be so difficult for you more than the rest of us due to your, let's say, natural gifts. Huh? But, you know what I have always wanted? You know, I have always wanted what's best for you, right? And I'm ready to give that to you. To give me what? The best, Jake. The very best. Jane, what are you doing? Jake is quiet for a moment, and Jane can hear the rusty gears turning in his head. You just stopped by and saved me this evening. You mean my evening or yours? We're in different time zones right now, and there I say that the sun just went down here, so if you wanted to have a soiree on my time, you've missed your chance. Jane feels her fake smile flexing so hard that it begins to hurt. Oh yes, she loved this man in basically every category that you can possibly love a person. But sometimes talking to him is like trying to build a house of cards while riding a mechanical bull. Mine, of course. I'll have the best year of your favorite crocodile made scotch flown. Mine, of course. I'll have the best year of your favorite crocodile made scotch flown in from the consort kingdom, and we'll have a little catch up. Jake actually hates scotch and only drinks it for appearance sake. But for this unbelievably pivotal moment in history of the planet that they created with their bare hands, Jane is willing to spend a few thousand boon bucks to watch her old friend pretend to sip the same glass for a couple of hours while prattling on. And she's willing to do more than that too. When's the last time we've done that? Just you and I? You know what? You're quite right. It's been a spell since we've met up without Dirk. An unforgivably long one at that. Put me up a kipper, Jane. I'll be over promptly. A kipper? She considers asking if he intends to request that she literally prepare him a fish for arrival, but of course, Jake is already hung up. With a heavy and somewhat regretful sigh, Jane sets her phone down on her desk. She thinks that's that. Time to work your magic, Crocker. How long is chapter 11? Oh, I can get through this, no problem. 4 chapters. That's that, you think. Your glasses are forever broken. And you totally fucked up and underestimated young Lord English. Rose should have known better than to trust this to you alone. Rose. Your smart, amazing friend, Rose. You can almost hear her voice now. Listen closer, jackass. Oh, wait, you do hear her voice, vibrating low and muted through the wall of your cell. You've only realized right now that your cell walls... You've only realized right now that your cell has walls, because it's awfully bright in here. So wait that nothing in the cell is casting a shadow. Looking around, you realize there's no apparent source to all this bright light, making it hard to tell where the floor ends and the walls begin. John, are you there? Her voice is muffled, coming from what you presume to be an adjacent room similar to yours on the other side of the wall. Yeah, I'm here. Oh, thank goodness. Everyone's accounted for then. Are you okay? What? Are you okay? I think so. I can barely hear you, though. You hear a thud from Rose's corner, like someone slumping against the wall in relief. Well, that's what you're doing, at least. Eh? Yeah, I'm fine too, but this is kind of dorky to say out loud, but I don't feel time. That's not just me, right? You guys feel it too. Or don't? Oh god. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously space inside the box, but I can't do anything. It's like I'm blind. The noise outside the juju grows. Something sharp and metallic splinters above rain down on the tops of the chest. What did my future say it was we had to do? She never really... What? I can't hear you. She never really told us what we had to do exactly, just what was going to happen in really loose sort of fashion. Does that mean we're stuck? The metallic rain rains down harder, drowning out Rose's attempt at being loud. Plink, plink, smash. Now I can't hear you. Try using less words. The length of the silence coming from Rose's corner communicates how difficult the task is for How difficult a task that is for her. She said the juju would get loaded and unloaded. What? So, I mean, it just got loaded, I think, with us. So I don't think we're trapped in here forever. We'll be unloaded from it at some point. What? I know it's all a bit abstract, but no, I just can't hear you. John, you suck at yelling. Ugh! You stop trying to loudly reassure the worried teens for a moment and just think. Now you understand defeating young Lord English was never supposed to happen. Not the way adult... Where did my cursor go? Oh, there it is. Not the way adult Rose was implying it would. You surmise the other 4 teens remaining outside the juju were meant to be the ones to be tasked with his defeat. And judging from the cacophony still emanating from beyond the walls of this house and its confining chest, they were taking the task seriously. But what does that mean for the 4 of you? You try to picture what's going on in the battle outside, but it's not easy. Use your imagination. In your imagination, the battle is quite vivid and exciting. The coolness of the action in your mind's eye is belied by the actual sound effects booming all around you, which you can only describe as vaguely stupid. There's a lot of hysterical screaming, which, if you're not mistaken, is coming exclusively from the male combatants. There's a sudden swelling of energy that speaks to its vastness behind the power source, almost as if an outrageous bubble of pure hope were enveloping the stage, is how you would describe it if you didn't mind sounding ridiculous. Then you hear... It can't be. Horses? No, not simple horses of flesh and bone. These horses are metal. Oh. If we're to believe they're horses at all. Stop using your imagination. No. I was about to reread that entire paragraph. This isn't getting you anywhere. Clearly, your silly imaginative whims aren't doing the slightest bit of justice to the actual awesome things taking place out there in the heat of battle. Frankly, your theorized skirmish lost the handle on any legitimacy it might have had the moment you started thinking about horses. You figure no one will ever truly know what's happening out there. You doubt anyone would ever be able to handle how incredible the raw, unfiltered account of this teen brawl actually was. So it's possible for the best. It's probably for the best. Possible for the best, yes. As you slip out of your fanciful conjecture, which may or may not have included a mechanical horse ambush, you overhear Dave's voice from one of the rooms below you, raising his voice to speak to either you or someone else, you're not sure. You place your ear on the floor again. He's speaking to Jade. They're attempting to reminisce again, to the best of their ability to do so while shouting through a wall. Once more, you ruefully reflect on the teen versions of your friends, and all of the questions they must have for you. For each other. What would you even say to them? Would you want to tell them about the happy outcomes, knowing they might never get a chance to experience those things for themselves? Good mumbling. Chance to experience those things for themselves? Would you tell them the sad outcomes, thus reinforcing their insecurities and suspicions that they may never truly be capable of living happy lives? You're not even sure you could handle it if you were teen John. Whoa. I lost where it was. Oh, there. You'd have too many follow-up questions, which adult John is in no way prepared to answer. Would you tell them that what's up with Roxy and Calliope? Again, having no real grasp of yourself over what's up with them. Would you tell them Dave and Karkat, live in a hive together watching TV all day? That Jade maybe kinda sorta lives there too? But no one really quite knows what's going on with that? Would you tell them about Terezi? For some reason, her name feels like nails in your heart. Makes sense, you guess, because there's a lot of sharp letters in it. She has sharp teeth, too. Sharp elbows. Sharp words. Terezi Pyrope was a sharp girl. And maybe what these sharp feelings are trying to tell you is that you miss her more than you realize. She wouldn't have let you neglect a relationship with certain friends for so long that you missed whole chapters of their lives. She wouldn't have put up with you moping around the salamanders for so long. She would have kicked your ass for being such a loser about everything. She would have poked you in the forehead and called you insufferably lame and told you to pick up the damn phone. You would have called her a weirdo and pretended you hated it. And maybe you would have even believed you hated it. But now, sitting here in this little white cubicle, contemplating your regrets, you don't think you would have hated it as much at all. Would you tell the teens that? You'd probably never tell anyone that. Not even her. Another arbitrary thought hits your brain, completely unrelated to the subject of Terezi, or what you would and wouldn't tell a bunch of incarcerated teens. Or so you think. Am I depressed? You ask out loud. Quietly enough that your friends can't possibly hear it. All the question does is crawl back down your throat and burrow into your gut like it lives here. And it does live there, because it turns out you are really fucking depressed. You're just a giant wet meat sack of self-involved misery, and all that big wet meaty ooze drips out of your mouth every time you open it. All the time and space in the world isn't making it better. It's something you should have been doing for yourself instead of waiting for things to get better. Well, screw waiting. It's boring as hell. You are John Egbert, after all, immortal creator of worlds, and one of the only men to ever completely transcend the partitions of canon itself. You've got these powers, remember? You hold up your hands and form a rectangle with your fingers and reach outside yourself, outside canon, and place your retcon into the place your retcon powers come from. You focus, you strain, you contemplate with all your might. A place you can zap to. Any place but here. You wait. And wait. And wait. And nothing happens. You slump back down against the wall. Your despondence eagerly greets you again. Like an old friend, ready to pat you on the back and say, "Good try, man. I'll always be here for you when you fail." Thanks, dude, you think. Rose was right. What? The juju has to unload. The what? Has to what? Do you let me out of here? It is for us to wait for someone to let us out. Sorry, guys. Oh. Also, I think I might have depression. Oof, John. Oof. Well, that was an interesting chapter. We finally got to figure out what was going through Jane's head and if she found out about all this political nonsense. And I think my reading was worse than usual, but I don't know. We're gonna leave it up here. And yeah, so that's it for today's stories. If you liked the video, please give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already to join our wonderful galaxy. Comment down below and I'll get back to you in some way or another. And I will see you for our next adventure. Remember, we're all made of the same cosmic dust, so be nice. Kate, love you, bye!